Hey guys, welcome to your channel. We are going to discuss some important articles from today's Hindu newspaper. One important article is Power Shift from Opinion Piece. This article discusses the ongoing controversy related with Lieutenant Governor. This is a very important article for your exam, pre as well as mains. The distinction you have to be made from this article is the distinction between the power of the governor and lieutenant governor. Lieutenant governor are called administrators are appointed for Delhi, Puducherry, and Andaman and Nicobar Island. Then you have to find out that what are the distinctions between governor and lieutenant governor in terms of power. While in comparison to the governor, lieutenant governor enjoys more power as provided under Indian Constitution. And among the lieutenant governors, among Delhi, Puducherry, and Andaman and Nicobar Island, the lieutenant governor of Delhi enjoys much more power in comparison to the lieutenant governor of other two other two areas. Means the lieutenant governor of Delhi actually enjoys more power, much power in comparison to the lieutenant governor of Puducherry and Andaman. And here, important keyword you have to maintain. The thing is that on the aid and advice of the Council of Ministers. Especially the Lieutenant Governor of Delhi, it is said that he is not bound to work on the aid and advice of the Council of Ministers on every matters. On every matters. Here again, you have distinction has to be made, not on every matter. Then what are the matters on which he has to work on his own discretion? Right. There is a distinction between governor and lieutenant governor in terms of power. Lieutenant governor derives more power in comparison to the governor, and in case of lieutenant governor, among these three areas, the lieutenant governor of Delhi enjoys more power. While writing answers here, while preparing note, you have to give special attention on the aid and advice of the Council of Ministers, where lieutenant governors, especially the lieutenant governor of Delhi, is not bound to work on the aid and advice of the Council of Ministers on every matters. Here again, you have to be very careful on every matter. Then what are the other matters? You have to try to find out those things while preparing notes. When coming to the point of Lieutenant Governor of Delhi, you might find question in exam hall that LG of Delhi derives power from parliamentary as well as constitutional statutes and other statutes. Then you have to prepare note from this perspective. Then what are the sources from which Delhi Lieutenant Governor derives power? The thing is that 61st Constitutional Amendment Act actually provided an Article 239A into the Constitution. And under this article actually, Delhi Lieutenant Governor works, and under this article he actually enjoys much power in comparison to the other other governors, other lieutenant governors of other areas. And under this article actually it is said that except land, public order, and police, under this article, it is said that the Delhi government, Delhi Assembly, Legislative Assembly, has no power in terms of land, law, and police. And in these three areas, in Delhi, only Lieutenant Governor has power to decide most of the concerns. Means the under Article 213-9AA provided by the enacted into Constitution, included into Constitution by 61st Constitutional Amendment Act, Delhi Lieutenant Governor has been given more power, and he has been given power to decide anything regarding land, law, and police, where State Assembly has no power. Besides this, National Capital Territory Act of Delhi, Section 41 of the Governance of National Capital Territory Act of Delhi 1991 has very very elaborately delineates the power of lieutenant governor, and it has distinguishes that what powers will be given to the lieutenant governor, what powers he will possess, and what powers will not be possessed by Delhi Assembly. I will discuss all these things in a separate video, but till now, if you want to prepare notes, then you have to, the question is that the Delhi governor derives its power from both parliament and constitution. Constitution, you have to discuss 239 AA, and from statute section 41 of the governance of National Capital Territory of Delhi. You have to try to find out what are the provisions of this act and what are the power given to the Delhi governor under this article. You have to prepare notes. Coming to the another point which we have to find out, the Supreme Court judgment. This article came into news because of the recent Madras High Court judgment, where it was said that Lieutenant Governor of Puducherry is bound to work on an advice of the Council of Ministers. So this is a very significant role. The significant role which is not mentioned in the article and which is very important from your UPSC point of view is that the governor is not anyway an agent of the center. Governor cannot work on his own discretion. Governor is also a constitutional authority. He must have to respect the constitutional principles or as well as principles of the democracy. While coming to the Supreme Court judgments, there are various Supreme Court judgments. Even I think 1.5 years before, there was a controversy going on between Delhi Chief Ministers and the Delhi High Court regarding the power of the governor. But as a whole, if we concise the Supreme Court judgment regarding the power of Lieutenant Governor, it is said that as a whole, that governor is bound by Lieutenant Governor is bound by the aid and advice of the Council of Ministers. In case of uncertainty, Lieutenant Governor can refer to President, but he cannot refer any decision to mechanically. Means he has to consciously consider each decision. Collective responsibility means where Lieutenant Governor as well as Assembly has to work in a coherent way. And under Article 239 AA, executive power of Delhi government is co-extensive with legislative power of executive power of Delhi government is co-extensive with legislative power of Delhi Authority Act. Means Delhi Assembly can make a law on any list of the any list from Delhi Assembly can make any law from the concurrent list, right? And if any controversy and if any conflicting view arises, then only governor can reserve that position to the president for discussion. So from this viewpoint here, from all these viewpoint, you have to prepare notes from this article. I will prepare another notes, a separate video for this topic. Actually, this is a very important article. First, you have to see distinction between governor and lieutenant governor. Then you have to see the distinction between lieutenant governor of Delhi and other areas. Then you have to see the power derivatives of power for lieutenant governor in Delhi. Then you have to consider Supreme Court judgments. Another article, Religious Freedom on the Decline in India, US Panel. US Commission on International Religious Freedom in its 20th annual, it has given 20th annual report. US Commission on International Religious Freedom was established under US Federal Government Commission International Religious Freedom in 1998. It actually reviews situations which violates religious freedom and gave recognition to respective government. And in its recent report, it has it says that India falls under Tier 2 category. It has two provisions in its list. One is entities of particular concern. The countries which come under this head is actually grievously poor in terms of religious freedom. Means this country are very much aggressively violating the religious freedom. And Tier 2 countries means are those countries which are lacking in religious freedom for one or two more perspective, but improvements are there. Improvement needs to be taken in this step. And as per this report, actually, it has the report has pointed out that India has evidence threat India has evidenced minority threat in terms of religious freedom, and minority section is much more facing religious degradation, a religious threat. And apart from that, some kind of religious organizations are trying to break up the secular base of the country. Another important article is that there is a need for immediate remedial steps to deliver justice to victims. There is a need for immediate remedial steps to deliver justice to victims. This is related to the ongoing controversy of sexual harassment case against Chief Justice. Here, one provision is very important. Article 21 in Nandalal Bajaj versus State of Punjab case, it was said that the history of personal liberty is largely the history of procedural safeguards. Try to consider this statement. Due to lack of time constraint, I will not be able to point out what does this mean. I will discuss in another video. But from Main's point of view, it is very important that the history of personal liberty is largely the history of procedural safeguards, analyzed with reference to the current scenario. Article 21 carries with it the inherent right to legal assistance. This is very important because in the recent investigation case, the victim has not been able to give him an opportunity to appear in front of the investigative committee herself, or she has not been given the constitutional right to appear in front of the investigative committee with the representative of a lawyer. This is a very grievous matter. You have to consider this viewpoint, right? So why she is deprived from the Article 21? Right to legal justice, right to legal assistance is a fundamental right as evident from Supreme Court judgment. So why she is deprived? This is very important. Then some other very important article, but where you have to you can prepare note yourself, is the cost of resistance. The article points out the recent concerns posed by antimicrobial resistance. This is not a new topic. It has been come into news from several years. But it is again in news because the Inter-Agency Coordination Group on Antimicrobial Resistance has revealed its report. Try to find out the name of the report. What is the name of the report? And says that their antimicrobial resistance in upcoming year will seriously threat to the economic stability of the world, causing much more economic damage. And here, what point of view you have to read the article here, you have to prepare note is that what are the causes of antimicrobial resistance? We all know that poorly regulated pharmaceutical industry, overuse of antimicrobiotics, and a repeated use of those antimicrobial drugs. The term poorly regulated pharmaceutical industry is very much important, and it is very much news in recent because the control of e-pharmacy. Here you have to consider the term e-pharmacy. Because of the recent judgment of the Madras High Court, e-pharmacy is in news, and you have to equally concern the term e-pharmacy, that whether the unregulated e-pharmacy also has contributed to antimicrobial resistance. This is an important. And what should be the India's policy initiative in this regard? The article points out three solutions that private industry, philanthropy group, and civil society can together work in this perspective. Right. So you have to find out from this perspective. You have to prepare note from this perspective. Then another important article is that fighting polio in Pakistan. This article actually points out the key term which you have to gather from the article is Global Polio Eradication Initiative, oral polio vaccine, advantages and disadvantages, inactivated polio vaccine, the comparison of oral polio vaccine and inactivated polio vaccine, which is much more suitable, and India's policy approach to eradicate polio, and what are its success and what are its upcoming threats. You have to read the article from this part. Here I'm going to tell you regarding the naming of cyclone. Have you ever thought then how a cyclone is named? Because you have encountered various names for various cyclone. World Meteorological Organization has advised a mechanism where actually countries suggest their names, and among these names actually a particular name is chosen. And in case of under World Meteorological Organization, it has a regional tropical cyclone committee, and to regional tropical cyclone committees, concerned countries actually suggest their names. And in terms of recent cyclone Fani, among 64 names, the name suggested by Bangladesh called Fani has been picked up. It means snake in traditional language. In last year, the name Titli was given by Pakistan. It is very important to point out here because UPSC has a sometimes asks this type of questions regarding, so prepare a note regarding the rationale which is used to name cyclone, and here you have to find out the advantages of naming a cyclone, how it helps to local people to understand through a particular typical name, how it helps the media to create awareness, and how it helps meteorological department to signify cyclone instead of using mechanical devices like longitude and latitude.